back to Risk Check Podcast, episode 29, season 5.
Facts.
Wow. We're back.
Yes.
It's crazy. It feels like we just started yesterday, guys.
It does. I mean, it hasn't been that long.
It was
29
something
deep.
like 29 episodes, 8 months. But here we are, top of season 5.
Yes.
Episode 29, but episode 1 of season 5. Let's do it. Before we get into tonight's festivities, just allow us to introduce ourselves for those who are listening and not watching. My name is Perry.
I'm Rashawn.
And I'm Ben.
And we make up the Risk Check Podcast. Tonight, we have a very special guest, someone I've known for a few years. This guy is very, very special. If I can still,
You still my
Sean's,
you still my thunder?
Sean's thunder. Me and this gentleman met several years ago. We were involved in the arts, which I believe he's still involved in to some degree. He's got his hands in a couple of different pods. Mm-hmm. But he is, majority of his work consists in fashion, celebrity stylist, Renaldo Nehemiah, and watch collector. Welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here, man. I'm actually a fan. You know what I'm saying? And I don't fan out over really nothing, but this one here, this is it.
This is special. We've been talking about getting him on the show for quite some time. I think since at least
the beginning, probably.
Since the beginning, we've been talking and we had been in communication for some time. And he hit me last week and was like, "Yo, I'm coming. I'm in New York. Let's go. Let's do it." I was like, "Let's do it. We got to figure it out." So this is going to be a really good night. We got some questions for you, and I know you brought some treats for us, so I'm excited. But before we get into that, we got to have our honorary wrist check. Because such is tradition. Yep. Ben, why don't you kick us off tonight?
We're in the Oris Clemente again.
Respect.
We put up that little teaser today about our, Billion Oyster project experience. Mm-hmm. Got out the shower before I came here, and I was just feeling it. I was like, "Damn, that's a good fucking video."
Yeah.
yes.
I was like, "I'm wearing the Oris." Shout out to VJ.
Shout out to VJ and Rolf.
Yes.
Yeah, respect. Rashawn, what about you?
So season opener, you know what? I got to call an audible. So I am introducing a new watch while wearing a watch that I have repeated.
Oh, so you are repeating watches.
So now that's the biggest question. Hold on, that's what I was gonna ask.
Time out. Oh yeah. So you just repeated a watch.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Is it on your wrist?
Well, the sad part is the watch that I want to introduce, I cannot wear on my wrist.
Why?
It's actually too old. This piece is a vintage swatch from 1994. It's actually really interesting. Something that we didn't see, we wouldn't see in today's swatch design. This piece here is called the Sex Tease.
Woo.
Okay. Risque.
Swatch erotica.
An erotic swatch. This one threw me for a loop when I first seen it, but I knew I had to have it. When I acquired it, I was so excited. And then when I tried to put it on, the strap literally broke.
Oh.
So I did speak to the seller, and she was very kind as to give me a swatch strap, but it wasn't.
It's not the OG strap.
It's not the OG strap. So if it's not on the OG strap, then I don't want to wear it at all, but I will showcase it.
Here we go.
So this piece is very unique.
Yeah. Very graphic swatch piece.
Yes.
But in the spirit of tonight, I think it's appropriate.
Yes.
For sure.
For it to be a quartz
still
watch.
makes very incredible quartz watches.
Yes.
Yeah.
My man Renaldo, what are you rocking with tonight? What have you brought us?
In honor of my brother over here, as the shows I've been watching, he's an Oyster Court fan, and he has a presidential Oyster Court too as well.
Oh no, he doesn't have
Oh,
one. It was
Jason
one of our
has one.
guests.
Oh,
Yes.
one of your
Jason.
guests.
However, you were right in what you said.
He is
Oyster
a
Quartz
fan.
is fucking fire.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so I have my birth year, 1983, presidential Rolex, Oyster Court, all gold, little light
beautiful.
work. Thank you.
What I love most about that piece, when I was taking a look at it before we started rolling, you can see the patina on the date wheel.
Yeah,
So
I
the
noticed that
dial
too.
is like very stark white,
Yeah.
and the date wheel is almost very soft, like off-white eggshell.
Yeah.
which is really, really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a lot of character to it.
That's why I like Oyster Quartz.
There we go.
It's dope.
Yeah.
I decided to go with my Super Seawolf tonight.
Yeah, we haven't seen you wear it in a while.
I haven't worn it in a while. I opened the watch box and I was like, yo, let me throw this on. I found this this leather NATO strap. I was feeling a mix between like technical and heritage, and I was like, okay, that's my vibe tonight. Respect.
But
So-
before we move on,
Okay.
Rashawn's still wearing a watch on his wrist.
Yes.
He did.
So I
He didn't
didn't.
talk
I didn't
about.
get to share the
Yeah.
watch that I'm wearing on my wrist for our listeners. So if you don't watch us, you can hear from, the man himself. I am wearing a watch on my wrist that I have worn on the show before. I'm wearing my 70s Turnograph, aka the Thunderbird. This piece is very special to me. Very, very special to me. I've shared it before. When I seen it, I just couldn't sleep. I was dreaming about it. I was like, I have to have it, and I just pulled the trigger. Of course, it, kind of opened the door for the Rolex vintage craze for me. But like, this is the piece that that's gonna kick it off. So I had
If
to
I
really
remember
think.
correctly, too, we made a wager about him repeating a watch.
Yeah, we did.
But we'll get to that.
Oh,
So you might be eating crow tonight. But we'll move on. So to our guest, Renaldo,
Yes,
King
sir.
of Quartz.
Yeah, I'm
Self-proclaimed King of Quartz.
Yeah,
I think that's an
yeah.
appropriate title considering your collection.
Yeah.
And some of the pieces I know you to have. So, but first I want to get into who you are. I know you are originally from Miami.
Yeah.
And it's funny too. So I don't know. Were you named after the athlete Renaldo Nehemiah?
Yeah, exactly. Named after him. My birthday is the day before his.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I didn't know that I was named after him. I organically started running the 110 400-meter hurdles.
Oh wow. So you were a track runner.
Wow.
Yeah, I was an
Wow.
all-American. I was an all-American track star.
Wow.
Actually. Yeah.
Wow.
Ran against Alan Johnson, Terrence Jamel.
Oh wow.
And till this day, I actually talked to Renaldo Nehemiah through text
Wow.
message and conversation. Yeah.
So Renaldo Nehemiah ran the 100 meters. For those that don't know.
The 110.
Yeah, the 110.
Yeah.
He was ranked number 1 for like 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
Went to the NFL.
Got a Super Bowl.
Got a Super Bowl ring with the 49ers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beast.
Yeah.
So that's so funny. Wow.
Yeah. Ironically, like
Yeah.
this man that I was born a day before him, and I asked my mother, she was like, I was in labor and I was watching a track meet, and I named you after that. And crazy, I taught myself how to run the 110s.
Wow.
And became great at it all the way through college. Played football all the way through college.
Wow.
Everything, yeah.
Wow.
So it's crazy.
So how'd you go from a track superstar athlete in Miami? How'd
Yeah.
you wind up as a stylist in
Atlanta?
Atlanta?
Man, just I lived different chapters of my life. I tell people, I was an athlete coming from Carroll City out of Miami, Florida. Just played football, got in trouble. Family was moving in between South Carolina and North Carolina and stuff like that. I've been the oldest, and went to school. Got recruited by Auburn and everything. Highly sought out there in football, wide receiver, and all of that stuff. Got us in some trouble. Went to this small black college in North Carolina called Livingstone College, where actually Ben Coates, Natron Means, and them guys was actually my coaches at Livingstone College in the CIAA. I started, they knew who I was running track, and I still actually had the 40 record. I ran a 4.1 and I slowed down.
What?
Yeah. So it was like, you go play wide receiver. I actually played corner and free safety all the way in high school because I like to hit people.
Oh wow.
It's kind of crazy, but yeah, I did. But then I, CIAA running the 110s and running the 400-meter hurdles, running like 47s, 46s in the 400-meter hurdles.
Yeah.
And then in that whirlwind of that, I got the music industry bug. Started interning at a radio station in North Carolina, Power 98. One of my godfathers, John Monopoly, that still this day worked with Kanye West.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Managing, and he was managing some artists through North Carolina, and I started running around. I was a college rep for Atlanta Records, and I started the Good Music College Rep program
Oh wow.
while I was at this school.
Wow.
And then just through random friends, met Shaka Zulu, Ludacris manager. Met Ludacris my first day as an intern at a radio station.
Yeah, because he used to be a radio DJ back in the day.
Yeah. So, you know, people always thought I was fly. And then one day, you know, got to actually go to the mall, pick up some clothes. And I got a check, like a bank deposit for like $5,000. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I went to the mall for an hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bro, I did not know nothing about fashion, bro. Nothing about being a stylist.
You just had an eye.
I never knew none of this. Taught myself the whole business. I never interned for a stylist, and never. Coming out of the South and then back and forth from Atlanta, from North Carolina to Atlanta while I was in college, Ludacris, I remember, we was driving in his Bentley GT drop top back in like 07, 06. This when Bentley was crazy. And he like, man, you spent a lot of money back and forth from hotels. He's the most financially wealthy person I know.
Wow.
And he was like, yo, you should move to Atlanta. Man, me and my brother, Paris, like a best friend of mine, packed up a van, moved everything to Atlanta, and I took over and became the biggest stylist out of Atlanta for the past 15 something years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So every rapper from the past 15 years out of Atlanta has come through me, from Trinidad James to Rich Homie Quan to the Migos to Lil Baby to everybody, Jermaine Dupri, Jeezy. Yeah, everybody.
Wow.
It's come through me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, his reach is
That's
insane.
legendary. Actually.
Yeah. And I look back at some of my photos and I'll be like, yo, bro, like crazy. Like GQ magazine with Trinidad James, before they start putting rappers in it, they allowed me to style that cover, that spread. Yeah. So it's like,
that's crazy, because I think that kind of goes into our origin story as well, is because we started in fashion, but now we occupy this space of watches. And of course, we like to say that, you know, we're the king of the podcasting. I'm just going to speak it into existence.
Okay.
But, you know, we had to kind of learn to occupy this space as well, to be able to be studious, to kind of dive in, to actually love these objects more than just what meets the eye. You know what I mean? Yeah. To be able to sit down and talk about something for hours at a time, you have to love it more than anyone else. And so, you know, us being in the space that we are and being as passionate and as successful as we are and where we're going to be, I want to ask you, what was kind of like your origin story and how you grew to be the biggest stylist in Atlanta?
I think it came back from me being like surrounded by like my uncles are drug dealers and street guys and hustlers. My mother is a hustler at her time. And then it's like being an athlete. I moved to Atlanta and I was like, you know, you just put me on a different territory. Or like you just put me from high school to college playing sports or playing football. You have to step up and just adapt to, you know, being that guy. And that's all I just looked at it as from an athlete. It's like, if I'm going to do this, I got to be the best to do it. I gotta set this precedent. When you come to the South or you come to Atlanta, you have to call my phone.
Yeah, put that work in.
Yeah, you gotta. But I got struck by lightning too, bro. I'm not gonna lie. It's like I had the cheat code, bro. Like I had just angels as godfathers and mentors that were just famous. You know what I'm saying? They just gave me an opportunity, but I seized it and I made sure that I did my thing at it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if I can use a sports analogy, they passed you the ball and you didn't drop it.
Yeah, I didn't drop it. They passed me the baton, whatever they passed me.
Because a lot of people can get past the ball and can't do nothing with it.
Fumble it.
Yeah, and I see it.
Yes.
And then at that time too, I came in a time where it was MySpace, bro.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
social media just like kind of took off.
Yeah, like man, I did the Music Soul Child on my radio album, and still to this day they say that's one of the only albums he was the flyest ever. And he found me through MySpace, bro.
Wow.
Yes, like found me through MySpace. Said he's looking for a stylist in Atlanta, and I don't know how. I can't even remember how the algorithm that you could find somebody in Atlanta as a stylist. But yeah, and I met his assistant in Lenox Mall. We met. I got a phone call. They flew me to New York. I met with Kevin Lyles in his office. And just before I met music, he asked me a question. And I said, yo, his outfits is whack. He said, you got the job. Sorry, music. Hey. And then they let me do the whole On My Radio album, all those videos off of that. And then that thing just started going crazy. And
That's
then,
dope.
and I took that with everything from watches to collecting art to everything.
So speaking of that, fast forwarding a little bit now, how did you arrive at this place now where you developed this passion for timepieces? Was it always there, or did it, like, at what point was this spark when you were like, okay, this deserves my attention?
I think indirectly God show you things before you realize it. And I remember back in college, man, when those Jacob the Jeweler watches.
Yeah.
Oh, that
was
5
popping.
time zone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, my homeboy had a fake one.
Everybody had the fake
Yeah.
one back in the
my
day.
God.
And I think he was from New York, but he let me wear it on the yard.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And then the Techno Marines
Oh,
came
yeah.
out. And I actually still got one. I got a Techno Marine.
Yeah.
And then back in the day, you saw them and you like, bro, like, this is a $500 watch. But like, that was the watch.
Yeah.
And then as time go on, I seen a big homie, Ludacris manager Shaka Zulu had his classic IWC on. And at that time, in my eyes, he looked rich. I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
But he had on this simple, plain, just leather band. And I remember looking at his dial and it was like IWC. I'm like, what is IWC? All I knew was heard of was like Rolexes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? An international watch company. I was like, let me just do my research. And then every time I said, well, if I get some money, I'm gonna get me an IWC. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I'm gonna get me an IWC.
Rich people wear IWC, so I'm
Right.
gonna get one.
Right, that's what I thought. You know what I'm saying? And then as I got older, then it's like you start getting your taste levels start getting crazy, then I start going crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
So there's a perfect segue into a piece that you brought us tonight.
Yes.
You have an IWC Engineer.
Yes.
Yes.
Now,
Already a stupid rare watch.
Already
Never mind the
incredibly
exact
rare.
one you have, but engineers in general
Yes.
are
So
crazy.
And so we were talking about this. I was telling him before we started shooting the episode we did with Nacha and Rafa,
Yes.
our Love and Watches episode. We got to talking about this watch.
nice.
And I think Rafa had made a prediction.
Yeah, he said that he wants IWC to drop one again soon.
Yeah.
With a thinner profile.
Yeah. Because a lot of people don't realize that this was a Gerald Genta design. And so you have, and this is key too. So we called this episode "The King of Quartz" because you collect quartz watches.
Yeah, only quartz
specifically.
watches. Yeah.
You only collect quartz watches. That's your thing.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, when I taught myself and started doing my research, I realized, when people are like, oh yeah, Rolex only made, watches that don't TikTok and all of this stuff. And
Yeah.
then one day randomly I walked in this watch store and he was like, yo, I got this Rolex with a battery. And I'm like, bro, they don't make batteries. And then this guy started educating me and I'm like, so how rare are they? He's like, well, they only made like 28,000 or something. Or
Yeah,
what?
they're
I said,
only
hold
made
on.
for a short amount of time.
I said, how many? I said, cool. I said, well, my first Oyster code I need my birth year. He's like, what is your birth year? I said, 1983. He gave me this look. He's like, bruh, you're not going to get that. I said, no, I'm going to speak it.
Yeah.
And just over time, he gave me this phone call, bruh. And then I ran. And this was it. But the only reason why I wanted it, because I wanted to always be in the room and not have the same conversation as everybody else.
Yes.
I didn't want to have on the same watch currently that everybody wanted.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I
That's-
wanted to
yeah.
wear a watch that I could educate somebody, OG, to what you wearing.
Yeah,
That's such an interesting point
yes.
too, because we talk about often how Rolex is so high in demand, so hard to get, but when you get it, you realize how pedestrian it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because everyone you're running into now is wearing a
Yeah,
Rolex.
you get in the right elevator in Manhattan, there's 5 guys wearing the same watch.
Yes.
And that's crazy. How
Yeah.
many yacht masters can you see?
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
That's also what drew me to the Turnograph, because it is the grandpa or the OG to the Submariner.
Well, that's what's so beautiful about vintage Rolexes in general.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Is that most guys you run into are not going to be wearing a vintage Rolex.
Probably don't
Everyone's
even-
wearing modern.
Yeah.
Most times it's either an OP or Submariner.
Or they
Now
don't even know
Yacht
they
Master has
exist.
kind
Yeah.
of ascended to that role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What year did you acquire this watch?
I acquired it in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
had this.
So before the hype.
Yeah, before
Yeah.
that.
That's
Way
right.
before the hype.
Yeah, man. Like I was telling earlier, man, I remember I emailed Jean-Claude Beaver about doing something, a partnership with Hublot with Ludacris. And at the time, they told me that, they wasn't into aligning themselves with rappers at the time. So it was like kind of like God gave you the foresight of seeing partnerships with rappers and watch brands before it happened.
Yeah.
And I get it and I respect it. But I used to just respect him as a watch, maker and all of that stuff. And I mean, I'm from the hood. This man was in Switzerland doing something, and I also like the swag though too.
He's kind of badass.
I like the badass of him, and I mean, I was like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it was. So it's like, watches, man. Timepieces. It got me into some cool conversations and met some cool people.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that.
So going back to this piece.
Yeah.
So this is a Iwc Engineer.
Yeah.
Chronograph. GMT.
Yep.
Quartz.
Yep.
Two-tone.
I was gonna say bimetal. Yes,
This thing is
gold bezel.
Fire.
Flames.
It's nuts.
This is one of the sickest watches anyone has brought on our show.
I'm honored because
And it's
that's
beautiful.
crazy. Thank you. Yeah.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah.
So how did this come into your life?
So, it's crazy. It's crazy how I buy watches too. They come in place in spurts in my life, but there you go. I was doing a photo shoot with Lil Yachty and a couple of guys, and I got a call from a rep from Crown and Caliber.
Okay.
In Atlanta, and this lady was like, "Yo, I know that you're in the Quartz. You say you wanted the IWC. I have this dope, cool IWC." I'm like, "All right, cool. I'll come see it." And I went to their office in Atlanta, and she showed it to me, and because it was an IWC, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I did not know what I was buying. I just knew it was an IWC.
Sure.
I didn't know that this would be something sexy or badass.
Yes.
At the time, and I brought that one like 2017.
Wow.
And I had it ever since then. And it's one of that's a watch. This watch and that watch, I'd never sell it. And I love too how if you look at it,
I don't think you should ever get rid of this.
Yeah,
I
never.
That thing is so crazy.
Yeah, and if you look at the bracelets on them, this Oyster Quartz and the IWC,
It's pretty similar.
Yeah, very similar.
Yes.
It got this very stealth badass.
It also holds like Genta's DNA in
Yes.
terms
Yeah.
of
This is
bracelet
70s
making, too.
design.
It is 70s design, and it feels like a Nautilus bracelet.
Yeah.
This is one of those really cool integrated bracelets that this watch actually has to stay on the bracelet.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
No, you don't.
No,
want to
you're
put
not
that
putting
on
this on the strap
Yeah.
at
No,
all. This is staying on the bracelet. If you only got the watch head, it's like, don't show it to me unless you find the bracelet.
Yeah. But I'm honored that y'all say that this is.
Yeah, and I think what I love about your story and your perspective about watches is, which is kind of like the DNA of the show, is like the conversation, right?
Yeah.
The art of conversation.
Yeah.
And you had hinted before we started filming a conversation or maybe a nod or an acknowledgement that was had about this piece. You want to share that a little bit?
Oh yeah. So you mean about this one?
About the IWC.
Engineer.
Oh yeah, the Engineer. It was.
You were wearing it in LA.
Yeah, I was wearing it in LA, man. We ain't gonna name drop, but
Big homie.
a big homie.
Big homie.
I was standing out on Fairfax with my brother Biggs, and we were just standing out celebrating the Reasonable Doubt 20th anniversary, and this black SUV pull up, and I heard this whistle, and it was like, "What up, little bro?" And I go up, and then first thing he did was look down at my wrist, and he was like, "Oh, okay, I see how you feeling today." You know what I'm saying? And I mean, man, that kind of made me start feeling myself. I was like, "Oh yeah, I got some heat
you got something special.
You know what I'm saying? And that was like, this watch here was one of those, and then also, I can say, can I go into this conversation about this one?
Please.
So I'm a big John Mayer fan, and for his music, because I love music too. But then he has a badass watch collection, and he's one of my other motivation of if I ever got to meet him, I gotta have some heat on.
Yeah.
And so randomly, man, I was sitting in my house in Atlanta. Crazy how powerful manifestation was. I was just talking about I need to change my circle of relationships when it comes to watches, because in the South I don't have too many guys I could talk to. So and his name came up, and I told one of my friends, and then randomly one day on Instagram, he posted that he posted a T-shirt with the dice on it that he's doing a show with Dave Chappelle in Atlanta, the Coca-Cola Roxy. That was like 15 minutes away from my house. I called my homeboy. I said, "Yo, listen, They doing the show. Y'all want to go? Everybody like, nah, we want to go smoke hookahs. Cool. I said, I'll catch y'all going. I'll catch y'all later. Man, I pulled up at the Coca-Cola Roxy, bro. Didn't have no ticket. Was sold out.
Wow.
I'm like, it's all good, man. And then I went back into that genuine fan of a kid. I stood outside knowing what my relationship is in Atlanta and how people respect me. I stood outside in front of the venue and everybody saw me like, yo, Renaldo, what's up? You coming in? Nah, I ain't coming in for the show. I'm just chilling out. One of a young dude that was an intern for TIG that Trinidad James was signed to was like, big homie, you outside? What's up? What you need? I said, brother, the show sold out, but can you just go buy me a t-shirt? Because I like to buy concert
tour merch.
Yeah, tour merch.
Sure.
So I brought the t-shirt. And I said, cool. I said, well, I ain't going to be able to get in. I start walking towards my car, and I hear somebody call my name. He's like, yo, Renaldo, what's up? I turn around. It was my brother, DJ Trauma, that randomly DJs for Dave Chappelle.
Wow.
He said, yo, come walk in with us. I walk in, bro. I walked in. As soon as I walked in, John Mayer is playing Purple Rain, and I'm standing on the side of the stage, bro. It was the most craziest shit ever. Then I walk in the hallway. He walks off the stage for his intermission. The first thing he saw, bro, was my Oyster cord.
Wow.
He was like, that's badass.
Yeah.
So then he comes stand beside me. We start talking. He's like, yo, you in the watches? I say, man, I just watch your Houdinki show. No disrespect, but this podcast is the one I love.
We would agree.
But at the time, that was the only podcast. And I was like, man, I watch you, man, and I like your watch collection. And I mean, I like you, I respect it. He said, no, I respect you because you have something that I haven't seen in a very long time on somebody, especially young as you. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yo, that's cool. I was like, yo, can I get a picture? He's like, yeah, you got an Oyster cord on it. We can get a picture. We took this picture and I said, yo, man, the next time you come to Atlanta, I got something for you to show my appreciation. And I found this Cartier watch roller, travel case. He came back to Atlanta and I gave it to him.
Wow.
And so now every time he come to Atlanta, I come see him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I actually introduced John Mayer to Jermaine Dupri
Oh, wow.
backstage, and I took a picture, which I might show of me and John, and I had my Piaget on.
Wow.
And that time, I switched it up on him.
He said, wait till you see this.
And knock him off again. So
What was the PJ?
my Piaget Polo, man, that it was this all gold, just
We'll
nasty.
throw a picture of it.
I was hoping you say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I brought it on August the 1st, my daughter's first birthday. Because her name is Penelope, so I had the P with the clasp on it.
Wow.
Yeah, so I wore it.
That's special. For
Ben
real.
actually loves Piaget.
One of my favorite Piaget story is with Mike Tyson and New York City. Have you ever heard the story?
No.
You know about it? Mike Tyson was about to fight at MSG. I forgot who he was fighting. But he was in the fight at MSG. Showtime was promoting the fight. And he walks into a Piaget boutique. And he tries on this Piaget with all diamonds. Falls in love with it. Just walks out the store. And he tells the sales associate, Showtime will pay for it, don't worry. At the time, I think it was like $110,000 for the watch. It was over 6 figures. Wow. He's like, Showtime will pay for it, don't worry. It's the day before the fight. And Showtime's like, there's no way we paying for that. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, I just won't fight.
Wow. And they pay for it.
Of course they pay for it.
That's Mike Tyson.
Fucking Mike Tyson, you want to see him fight.
Yeah, that's hard.
And I found out about the story maybe 3 years ago, and then I really started doing a deep dive on Piaget, and I've been like, I fucking love Piaget.
That's a great story.
You can do some crazy shit. I have a client who wears a skeletonized ultra thin all like 5 days a week.
Wow.
And
the ultra thin is fine.
yeah,
We
and
talked about it.
every time he wears it, I put it on because it's cool as hell.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I seen it. It's
It's beast.
beastie.
Yeah, it's a nice
I'm
watch.
gonna just stay with the Quartz though. You know.
I mean, could you imagine a skeletonized quartz?
Skeleton Squats be crazy.
That would be
They
insane.
need to cut a check for that.
If they're listening, we know
Please.
you are.
Right.
So in your profession, you spend a lot of time with entertainers, celebrities.
Yeah.
And it does seem like more of the young guys are starting to catch the wave a little bit, if you will.
Yeah.
There's even like, now we have like the term plain Jane,
Yeah.
which is said a lot in like a lot of records, and it was popularized by like A$AP Ferg, and which means, for those who don't know, plain Jane refers to a watch that is as it was when it left the factory.
Yes.
And so when when the slang and the vernacular catches up with that and these terms are coined, I'm looking at it as like a cue that now a lot of the younger guys are like, no, like, A, this could be an investment. B, it's a work of art.
Yeah.
C, it's a conversation piece. Are you seeing more of that with some of your clients even?
Yeah. I think the number one is Lil Baby.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Man. I mean, bruh is really taking that serious.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? But you could tell of his growth, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I love it. I mean, I have seen so many guys go from not being known to being astronomically famous.
Yeah.
The Migos getting into it. Offset, Quavo. They doing their thing because they got their big homie Coach K.
Oh yeah.
And it's
He's
so
a big
crazy.
watch guy.
Yeah, I actually got Coach K asked me to source Oyster Quartz for P for a random birthday.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I got it, and I told Coach K, I said, "Yo, I got you one, bro."
That's
And
awesome.
yeah. So I never seen P wear it, but Coach K got it for him and gave it to him for his birthday. But yeah, and I think the number one young guy that I'm a fan of, but I love, Tyler the Creator.
Yeah,
Yes.
we talk about him.
We
all
talk
the
about him all the time.
Yeah,
And
listen,
his collection is impressive.
listen,
It's impeccable. Too.
and
His
all he
taste is
loves is
crazy.
them Cartiers.
Yeah.
And he wears them tanks. And when I saw his performance, and he had on that crash watch,
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
Yes.
you just took my soul, but I love it.
Yeah.
Bro. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I love stuff like that, man. I mean,
Yeah.
they not thinking that we're supposed to go there and be educated, and it's flipping that page.
It's
Yes.
flipping the page, and then they're expressing their taste too. Because I always go back to an interview that Tyler the Creator had where he was talking about how much he hates Rolex.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? To make a statement like that
Yeah.
is
Very
not
bold.
only a declaration of like I don't like something, but it's also a declaration of like, no, I know I have my own taste.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
I figured out what I like
Yeah.
and what works for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm dialed in now.
yeah. And that's how I feel about the Oyster. Well, just feel about Quartz. It's like automatics just wasn't for me. Then I realized all the automatics are just big, bro. Like 40 millimeters, bro. I'm like barely 5'11". You know what I'm saying? It's like, and I'm slim, so it's like, no, give me no vintage things, man. 36 millimeters. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I'm just keep it sexy
Yeah.
and keep it clean. And then when I educated myself and realized that Biggie wore size 36 millimeter, bro. When
I
his-
tell people that all the time.
That's the only size
All
there
the time.
was
Right,
outside of
and
a
I tell
professional
people that
watch.
all the time.
right, and I'm like,
All these dudes, all
Yeah.
these dudes walk in, and I'm like, they're like, oh, it's too small, and I'm like,
okay.
Biggie wore this.
Yes.
Right.
Biggie's like
Exactly.
can eat you.
right,
Like,
right,
you are 3 times smaller than him.
right.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
if it, up until
But
a
even
decade
culturally,
ago.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
90s, guys weren't wearing big watches.
Yeah,
No.
I mean,
You,
if
you
you
were
wanted
still
a,
wearing at
yeah.
the most maybe a 38.
If
but
you wanted a
36 was
Rolex,
like-
you didn't have a choice but to get a 36.
Right,
If there was
exactly,
anything that wasn't a sports model.
Right. You
Yes.
look at Pac, all of his photos, he got on
Yeah.
36
36.
millimeter.
Yeah, he got his Malachite Day-Day.
Yeah.
And Biggie had
Beautiful
the lapis.
watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the move. Biggie's was fire though. It had 6 and 9 with
They had
diamonds.
taste.
It's
Yes.
crazy.
The funniest thing too is like all them bracelets was never sized.
Biggie probably had an ad links.
He had the
Right,
ad
right,
links,
right, bro,
but
that's
like
crazy.
Pac is generally on his elbow.
Right. That's crazy. Yeah.
Kind of diving into your appreciation for Tyler, the Crash watch, and then just Cartier in general.
Right.
We have a Cartier watch here,
Yeah.
and before we rolled the cameras, we were just talking about what Cartier is doing now with the one shot, and you have something in the works. We'll keep that on the wraps unless you want to share. But with Cartier and their one shots, even a $2,000 watch from Cartier now is extremely coveted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, we have a perfect example of it here.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yes.
people gonna get
So
jealous
let's
when they see
get
that
into
one.
this one. This was I know this was one of your most recent acquisitions.
Yeah, this was
You sent me a picture when you got this watch.
Yeah.
I remember how excited you were. And what's crazy is, it's funny how life works, because what I remember distinctly saying to you when you sent me a photo of this, I think I said something to the effect of like, yo, I was just talking about this.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
we were just talking about this because I think it was, you know where it was? It was right after Christmas. Because Swiss got one of these for his birthday.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the green one was really hard to get.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how did this come into your life?
Man, I guess the watch gods be blessing the little kids like me, man, with a dream. I'm gonna shout out my lady, Marion, over at Cartier in Atlanta, Georgia boutique, man, they take very great care of me because I go in there and I tell them about releases about watches that they don't even know in the system yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, these solid color, 3 Cartiers that coming out, these tanks, I need them. They're like, Renaldo, they probably gonna never come to Atlanta because, you know.
Yeah.
And then she sent me a text message and said, look what came in the store.
Wow.
She said, we have one green one and we have one like maroon red.
The red one.
The red
I
one.
said, yo, I'm on my way.
That money
Did you end up
green.
getting both?
No, I turned down getting both
Oh,
because I looked at it and I said, you know what? I ain't gonna be selfish. Give me that money green one because when that black one come out, y'all
That
know
that black one was crazy.
The black one is crazy.
Yeah.
They kind of, I mean, they made a Geneva only, but then they dropping the gold one.
Yeah,
the
Yes.
gold
yeah.
one's even nicer.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so but the gold one is automatic, and so
Yeah, true.
and the stainless one is going to be the Quartz. So and all I wear is black anyway, so that just fits my aesthetic. But when it comes to Atlanta, I'm gonna be the first one to have that black one though. I'm just going to say it.
This watch is beautiful, man.
Yes, sir.
I just picked up my first Cartier, and we were talking about realization, and it's I got a Santos Dumont Quartz,
Nice.
and it's sometimes it's a little satisfying not having a seconds hand.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
I
something,
like
there's
it.
something beautiful about having a watch without a second.
It's like a magic trick every time you check the time.
Yeah.
It just moves.
That's
Yeah.
that's a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the strap on it too.
The
It's
strap
like,
is awesome.
Yes.
yeah, it's like clean, man. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Look, it don't even look.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Perfect
You're
size.
right. You can wear it with a suit. You can
Whatever
wear it
you want.
Yeah,
Yes.
whatever you want.
I mean, it's
like,
perfect jeans and
there
t-shirt,
you
suit.
go.
It's like there's never a wrong occasion.
Yeah.
Really to wear Cartier.
Yeah, and that green, man. It's like,
It's a good shade of green.
Money
Yeah.
green.
It's
Yeah.
that old Amex green.
Yeah.
That good
Yeah.
green.
yeah, you know, and it's one of my favorite watches. I mean, you know, my pieces. I mean, and like I said, I got it for a birthday present, so that was cool. It came at the right time.
That's awesome.
So that's gonna be my only green watch, though.
Awesome.
You know, I'm gonna keep it sexy like that.
There you go.
With respect to like your relationship with your clients, I
Yeah.
imagine they see you, they see your you know, they're already taking style cues from you,
Yeah,
right? And
Yeah.
so are you finding yourself having conversations with these guys about watches? Are they coming to you for advice?
yeah. It's crazy. I mean, that is one of the things because now as I'm older, I tell them like, yo, you know, your timepiece on your wrist represents all of you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you got that on. I don't care about what outfit you got on, bro. Like the right piece on your wrist
Yes.
could change a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
Even when you're in the rooms doing business, I realize a businessman gonna look at your wrist and gonna tell a lot about your IQ and where your business acumen at. It's where you invest in your money and how you look at time.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I taught myself that. So it's like, you know, I just tell guys like have that wild card, man. You know, I'm covered in tattoos. You see me gold in my mouth. I drive old schools. And then you see me hop out and I might have a tank on.
Yeah.
Or something crazy. You be like, hold on, man.
Who is this person?
It changes the perception.
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
changes the
100%.
perception. You
Well,
know,
you see that person, you put everything together, and you say, okay, no, these are all very specific and
Yeah.
distinct choices.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
And
that's-
here is someone who is meticulous.
yeah, about everything.
They have something to say.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like it's
Someone
just
who
so
knows what they're
crazy.
doing.
Like from my 1979 Chevrolet C10, mint condition, all black, to my 5.0 1988 completely mint condition. You know, everything is by detailing. That's
Yeah,
how
of course.
like when you look at the mechanics of watches, when watchmakers, you got to have that all the way across the board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, time
Everything,
machines.
everything's intentional. Yeah, like you said, literal time machine.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So you know, and that's what it is. That's what I tell the young boys, man.
Yeah. When you style them, are you taking watches into consideration as well?
Yeah, always. It's like
Yeah.
everything from the aesthetic, from your frames to everything. It's like, you know, if you wearing more sleek, clean stuff, let's not do a big bracelet. Put on something with a strap on.
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like when you look back at Jay and you look back at Pharrell and you start looking back at these photos, you're like, yo, y'all was not playing.
They weren't. That's
It
a
was
great
not playing,
reference
bro.
point too for I think a lot of these young guys is you look back, and I don't know how many of them consider this because even the big guys like Jay and Pharrell and all these guys,
Yeah.
they might not have considered it back then, but so many of these photos have become like, you know, art pieces
Yes.
in themselves.
Reference
They're
points, yeah.
reference points, but also like moments in time that are special. They document
Yes.
like specific periods of time in music. So to go back and like look at like, you know, Jay-Z's like second album cover, and
Yeah.
you see the Platinum Day Date.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yo, this is album number 2,
Yeah.
Platinum Day Date. That's what we doing.
That's what we
Right.
do.
You know what I'm saying?
Even
Like,
still, like Hove, I think, you know, he's always had his finger on the pulse and has always led the charge in trends, and we can see that his trends then become culture because, you know, when he came out with Change Clothes and Dirt Off Your Shoulder, and his method was less is more.
Yeah.
You start to see it now.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, we were still doing the bust downs and everything else, but his message paid dividends because now you have the young guys, the Little Babies, the Yachties, all these guys, they're actually deciding like, you know what? I don't want to wear this bust down watch. I don't want to wear all these diamonds, not because, you know, someone told me not to, but you know what? Less is more. I want to be perceived differently.
Yeah, they understand there's a time and place for it now too.
Yes.
It's okay to have that stuff.
Sure.
We're
Yes.
not knocking that.
Right.
But there's definitely moments where it's, I think, more acceptable to do it than not.
Yeah.
And I think it just comes down to educating yourself on
and
what
then
it is.
I think also, because I mean, we've seen this too, and I know you've seen this in your career. Even the story you shared about like a John Mayer, but it you know, having a timepiece on your wrist, and one that you can speak to when you're in a certain room with a certain crowd, it strikes up certain conversations, and those conversations can open doors for you, your career, etc., or even just a great conversation. You end up meeting someone that has something valuable to share with you, because you never know,
Right.
you know. But we both now have a reference point. Someone goes, "Man, where'd you get that? What is it?" And then you know what I'm saying? And it takes you to this other place that we love. You know, that's what this show is founded on.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of conversation pieces,
Yeah.
we got another piece on the table.
Big conversation piece.
This is
Big
so.
Yo, I'm honored that the watches I brought out, y'all giving me like, okay, cool. He all right. I think I made it.
You more than I.
Yeah.
Yo.
This is not only one of the best collections we've had in the show. The fact that everything here is quartz makes it that much more special because it's consistent.
Yes.
And it's consistent because, you know, you could just have a bunch of quartz watches,
Right.
but you've been very intentional
Yeah.
about what you're purchasing, and you've built a collection.
Yeah, you committed to it.
You
Yeah,
committed
yeah,
to
yeah.
it.
Yes.
You're like, I'm
Sometimes
going
that'd
to
be the
purchase.
death for me too, though.
How many times you seen a watch that's not quartz and been like, fuck, I need that, and then don't buy it?
It happened. It happened, and Perry was on the side of convinced putting the battery in my back to do it,
Yeah.
and it was the Rolex Ever Rose.
Yeah.
Yachtmaster, and I wanted it because it was a 38 millimeter and it just fit. But then when I brought it, I had it. I was like, I was looking
It'll
at
make
it,
you feel how the other
bruh,
stuff did.
but when I put these on,
Yeah.
Yes.
whew, I'd be like, yeah, you can't mess with me today.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I decide what watch I'm gonna wear based on how I feel. It's never what I'm wearing.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just even if I wake up in the morning, the first thing I have a little nice next to my bed. I always put the watch I take off at night. I always put it there. If I just roll over and like touch it in the morning, I'm like, I have to wear it.
Yeah.
because I didn't think about it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So we have a Hublot quartz
We do.
watch here.
Is this the first you blow on the show?
Second.
Second?
Well, we had one.
Oh, all right,
when we were at
yes.
Sotheby's.
Yes.
We did do a
You
Hublot
got
at
it.
Sotheby's.
Okay.
This is a special watch. So I remember he sent me a photo of this watch, and the first thing you sent me was the case back.
Yeah.
Not for sale. Hublot. Can't buy this.
Can't buy this.
You can't get this.
And when a jeweler saw me with it on, he looked at me like I just committed like the biggest
felony.
Yeah. He's like, yo, bro, he got nervous. He's like, yo, how you get that? I said, hey, man, listen.
You can't even tell him.
Yeah, I
can't
man,
tell him the real
you know,
story.
I got it on my wrist. That's
There
all
we go.
You know?
And then you look at the dial, and it has the Hublot logo.
Yeah.
It's got your hour hand, your minutes hand. It's got a ticking seconds hand because it is quartz, and then it says service in big letters at the bottom.
Yeah.
So what I know about this piece is that this piece is given out to Hublot clients when they bring their watches in for servicing. This is given to them on loan
Yeah.
Right.
as a replacement. Like, put this on your wrist until this watch comes back from servicing, and then we'll swap. But they usually take it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a double flex to have.
Yeah.
Right,
So this
yeah.
isn't a watch that they ever sell. You can't buy it from Hublot. It's given to Hublot clients on loan, and then it's supposed to be returned. But you got your hands on a not for sale Hublot.
They probably stopped doing this because of you.
I think they stopped that way before me.
Yeah.
They definitely did.
There's another one that looks a little bit more bulkier too.
Yeah, there's an automatic one too.
Yeah.
Well, there was one recently that Hodinkee did a
Yeah,
story on.
yeah, they did a story on it. Yeah, that's the one. I know there's one guy in Atlanta that has one, and I've been on his neck for like 7 years. And every time I see him, he works at a G-Star store.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, you sell me that watch? And he's like, no, because he know what he got. And I think because he knows how bad I want it, he gonna sell it. But he a good guy, so I'm like, it's cool. You know, you got one and I got one, but yeah.
So, you don't have to give us the details.
All right.
But how did this, in but so few words, enter your life?
I asked a guy that could get me some things.
Gotcha.
He said he got one, and he got it for me.
Respect.
Yes. And he will always remain nameless.
Shout out to you.
Shout out to you,
Yeah.
Mystery Man.
Yeah.
But this is a conversation.
man.
Yeah.
What year did this come into your collection?
Just last year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this last year. And I love it because
Did you know about this when you first seen it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like again, when I got the bug of Hublots, it's because when I saw Jay do his watch,
Yeah.
and I wanted the black on black one,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't have the money at the time to do that, you know. And then I saw, y'all made a Quartz and y'all made it not for sale, and it's hard to get.
Yeah, no.
I ain't
So
going
you were intentionally looking
and
for one.
very intentional
Okay.
about finding his watch.
It's nice.
Just and I love it because it's so unassuming, and I like how it just looks like matted, and it just looks.
It's sandblasted.
It's like my
crazy.
It
Batman.
almost looks like it would be titanium.
Yeah. So it's just like my Batman watch, and when you see it, you're not gonna pay attention to my wrist. I could be around.
Most
like-
people wouldn't even know what it is.
they won't even look at it, and you know when I wear it, but those that do know, they be like,
Their jaw drops. They're like,
yeah, they like, get that. And I'm like, got you again.
How long did it take for him to find it?
Man, I've been looking for that for years, bro. Honestly,
Wow.
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 years. You know that again. I'm so stuck on Quartz.
Sure.
And I'm just gonna stay down until I get what I want. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what it was. And
Yeah, this is sick.
when Perry put the pressure on me, he's like, you gonna bring watches? And then I start looking in my watch box and my safe, and I'm like, oh God, here's the pressure.
yeah,
Y'all have,
that one is the pressure.
Yeah. And my thing is, I really respect y'all because, like I told Perry earlier, I just like the aesthetic of watches. You know, y'all taught me, y'all teaching me all the time the history, just the detail about these watches. I mean, I'd be more amazed, but I'm like, yo, they like robots, bro. Like, they be over here just talking about this, and I'm over here like, yo, is it Quartz? I like the aesthetic of it. Cool, give it to me.
But I think
But,
what's
yeah.
awesome about your perspective too, and it's something that we talk about often with a lot of the visitors, because so one of the questions we'll pose is sort of like, what is it that you love about watches? Do you first come for the tech? Do you come from, the history? Like, what's your point of reference? And 9 out of 10 times, it's aesthetics. And I feel like it has to be for most people, right?
Yeah,
like, you got to be
You gotta
attracted to
wear
it
it.
first to wear it.
Yeah.
And so to speak with someone like yourself who is a collector, right? You're collecting clothing. I know you for having an art collection. I remember when I visited your spot in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Art everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I was like, he wasn't. And you know what's funny about this guy is that in the same way he is with watches, he is with his art. Like he's man, I ain't playing. Let me tell you something. Watch when you come, you're gonna see everything. We went in, it was like, holy shit, this guy isn't fucking around.
And so-
He has everything.
Yeah, and it's so crazy. Just like I like your taste of watches change, my taste of art changed.
Oh yeah.
So now in my house I only have black photography art from like Gordon Parks to Mel D. Cole to Jim Alexander, which is Gordon Parks' mentee that is like 80 years old. That I found him and he lives in Atlanta. So I go sit with him and he showed me like some dope books and pictures that he took of Gordon Parks.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff because Gordon Parks was like my ultimate photographer. You know, and when I saw the Invisible Man, you know, coming out of the ground going into the subway, like to an underground sewer.
Yes.
That spoke with me so much, and then I just went crazy into the art world to like Fahamu Buku, to Knowledge Bennett. You know what I'm saying? To
these are both friends of mine.
Yeah,
I know Fahamu and Knowledge.
And
yeah,
I got
good guys.
and one of his pieces that's in my bedroom was in the Hype Museum in Atlanta. And then with Knowledge Bennett, I got one of his black diamond dust pieces that he had on black.
I'll put you on to someone next too.
Okay.
My homeboy is running around with Knowledge now in LA.
Okay.
And he's amazing.
Okay. Yeah. And shout out my guy named Anthony too, Boomy, that he's out here. He does do rags.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And I love him. Yeah. So, and then it goes to the old schools, bro. So like, yeah, it just got like this with these watches. It got the same way with the art.
It's funny how it all rolls together because that's where we met, and now
Yeah.
to see a couple years later.
Yeah.
And I remember Perry. So of course I've known Perry for a long time.
Yeah.
I remember Perry in that art space and him curating art and the art that. The craziest thing about Perry is that he very like yourself is a visionary, foresees the future, and there was like things in art where like you physically seen it, but then there were things that you partook in where it was almost like you took the art with you.
Yeah.
A part of the exhibition is with you and stays with you. And my question to you, being so much as a purist and someone that is very meticulous, because speaking to you and finally getting to meet you, you like what you like and ain't nothing and nobody gonna change it.
Oh yeah. That's with everything too.
Now, what I'm gonna ask is, I'm sorry guys, how do you feel about NFTs?
Oh my God. That went all the way left. Let's go for it. Why not?
I gotta do it.
Okay.
I gotta do it. I'm sorry.
So this is my thing. I think it's BS, bruh. Like, I have never met. Okay, you in the NFTs, right?
He thinks it's the fucking future.
So,
he
man,
thinks something about it.
With
is the
all of
future.
this in the same thing as Rick Ross asked, all of y'all guys with all this NFT stuff, bro, show me somebody that literally became wealthy off of NFTs, bro. I never seen it. Nobody has ever showed proof of it. I sold all of this through NFT and all of that. But now guess what happens? Where are the people that talking about NFTs right now? Where it lasts?
It's quiet.
It lasts for like a month doing college, like Clubhouse. Now all of a sudden these experts, where are they at?
Yeah.
But I mean, me personally, I love the idea of NFTs because it's just another way to collect. For me as a collector.
But can I ask you a question though?
I don't own any NFTs at the moment.
Right, but can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You making me to believe that I should collect it, right? Because I see how passionate you is about it. Yes. But you mean timepieces as NFTs?
I mean anything in NFTs because you collect timepieces in art.
Right, but
so
I
they're
could
both
touch
in the
it,
same
but I could touch
because
it.
now they're both infiltrating the same space.
I think because I know where he's going with this.
How do you set me up? So,
I mean, I'm just well, you know where I'm going
I know
with
where
this.
you're going with this. It's all so. What's happening with NFTs? What's happening with crypto right now? Obviously, we know it's bottomed out.
Yeah.
It'll come back. All of this stuff is still incredibly early.
Yes.
Right? At some point, the metaverse will be a thing. I don't think it's fully flushed out. But at some point when it is, these things will mean a great deal more than they mean now.
They'll be very prevalent.
In theory, the metaverse, and I don't want to talk about this anymore after this, but in theory, the metaverse in its latent form, right, will be indistinguishable from us being in this room right now. Like we could literally be at home with goggles on conducting this interview, but while we're on, get the sensation that we're all in the room with one another.
Yes.
Your watches are here, we're touching the watches, we're
you
passing
can
it
touch,
around.
feel, all that,
That the metaverse will be like that. So in theory, you could stay in there, you could have your own place in there, you could own art, put it on the wall, you could have relationships with people across the globe, all from the comfort of your living room. It's a terrifying idea. There's been movies made on this.
Yes.
But I respect and I love the fact that you say NFTs are not for you.
Yeah,
I don't own them either.
I don't own them.
And this is why, bro. Like you spend all of this money, and then something happens, bro, and then that money is just gone. It's like throwing something in it's just like in a whale.
Go into the void.
Yeah, it's like
Mm-hmm.
I love it, but listen, I'm telling you, if you become successful off this NFT, I'm calling you, bro. And I'm like, I need you. Okay?
But that's the way I'm going with it, as far as like, because so I think the surface level is that we believe that people collect NFTs to make money, when I think that there's people that collect NFTs where money doesn't even matter to them.
Listen, and to some degree, that's
Right,
true,
that's true.
right? So we went to Sotheby's, and they had an NFT auction at Sotheby's. So this is something that is being taken more
the
seriously.
only thing I want to throw to that too, though, is that the NFT auctions came with the real images
Sure.
of the thing.
Sure, but at some point, it's like at some point, everything that you have now in terms of NFTs, when it's fully flushed out, and let's say maybe it's 25, 30 years away, will essentially be incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
If you still have it, it'll be ephemeral.
Yes.
Right? Like if you get one of, what's homie who does the NFT watches?
Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus, who does, I think it's called first or second generation generative watch or something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you have one of his today. You just bought it, you stashed it away. You're not thinking about it. You got it in the blockchain on some file, whatever.
Yeah.
And in 50 years, watches in the metaverse are a real thing. And then you break out and be like, yo, do you remember these? We were one of the first. Could be incredibly valuable.
It's no different than him backing out his service watch Hublot.
It's a little different.
It's a little different, but in theory, in terms of like how we value art and objects, it's the same idea.
Yes.
And you
Right.
know what's scary is too about that whole metaverse, NFT things? You know how like you don't remember your Apple ID sometimes?
Yes.
Your passcode?
Yeah, what happened? Woo!
Ooh, yeah.
You locked out your life.
I
see?
seen this happen to somebody where they forgot their like MetaMask password, and there's like literally no way to get it back. You just lose it. They literally tells you like when you make an account, write this down somewhere where you can always have access to it. If you forget it, it's a wrap.
There's so many people like that in the early years of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Well, we know a story about the laptop that got lost in like a LA trash dump or something like that, with like millions of dollars of Bitcoin on it from the very beginning.
But
You
I
can never
salute
get
you,
back.
brother. I salute you.
So
Yeah.
what I mean I want to give Rashawn some props here, because yes, there's some future in the NFTs, but I need somebody to cut me a check for what I'm about to say.
So what?
The future is in insurance.
Sure.
Like the Sotheby's auction with the Genta NFTs and the images, the NFT serves as insurance for the image. Something goes wrong in that image, a fucking house burns down, you got the NFT, I have proof that I own it.
There are
reprint
companies
it
working
and
on
pay
that
me for
now.
it.
through
Yeah,
the
that's
blockchain.
how I could see it
That's
could really
what
work
I think
out.
Cardano was working on in terms of like, I don't want to get all into this, but they were building like some like contract thing in on the blockchain, where it's like there'll be like copies of it living in two places. So there's a record.
So can I ask, who owns the blockchain? Like, you know, like if like
All valid questions.
like
Yeah,
if your
exactly.
credit card gets stolen or missing, you could call it your credit card, right?
Yes.
If something happened to the platform of the blockchain, who do we call to?
Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
Might as well be.
it's like who do we call?
Yes.
No one yet.
It's like the Matrix, bro. Like that movie
Yeah.
scares me.
I think that's why. I think that's part of. I think it's one of the reasons why it bottomed out, and now you still have like, you have companies like a J.P. Morgan, you have companies like Citi that are trying to address this, building their own blockchains.
Yes. But and this is my last comment into this, because it goes into a whole.
I didn't
rabbit
think
hole.
this is what.
Yeah,
we were gonna
this
go
is
with
I
tonight.
didn't expect this either.
No.
But the thing is, like, I mean, think about in early civilization, the trade of commerce was labor, until someone said
Labor or goods, yeah.
labor or goods, and now it's like, okay, labor and goods is okay, but now let's trade on a note. And then everybody probably like freaked out, like, why is a piece of paper, greater than my two bare hands? So it's still very new, and everybody's like freaking out about it.
It's the next hustle.
It's just the
Yeah.
next. Yes.
Right.
It's the next
Listen,
gaffle.
we had everything on earth to live for free, and what we did, we made money. We fucked it up for ourselves. Conversation over, no more NFT bullshit. Let's go.
Getting back into watches.
Okay.
Getting back into watches. So I know we talked about your collection tonight, and you've got a bunch of other hip pieces in your collection. And so one of the questions we usually end with is sort of like either like what's your grill or what's your next piece. But I think you made yours very clear what it is, and that is the Cartier Crash.
Yes.
What is it about that watch that does it for you? Why do you love that watch so much? Why does it mean so much to you?
First of all, we're gonna say that will be the first Holy Grail watch that's not a quartz that I want. That's the only one.
That's right. It's not quartz.
Yeah, that's my only temptation of biting the apple off the tree. Is again, it goes back into the aesthetics of how this watch was damaged, brought in to be fixed, and then they decided, you know what, I like this, how this looks.
Yeah.
But then also how rare it is, how hard it is to get, that they don't care about whatever. And like we were talking about, your buying history. You know, you got to be a bad.
You got to be plugged in.
You got to be plugged in.
Yes.
To get that. And if anybody that's in this world of Cartier that has some say so, I want the watch to keep it in my family generation, and my will and my trust for my daughters to wear it to their wedding day or to their prom. This is a watch that I would never sell.
Is there a specific model that you want?
No,
he wants a piece unique. That's what he wants. You want to make your own.
I just need one.
What if you could get one with diamonds? How you feel about diamonds?
Oh no, I turn those down. I want.
You don't
no.
like diamonds. We love the Cartier Crash with diamonds.
What?
I tried on the Crash with a diamond case and bracelet.
Yeah, I mean, we tried it on that Sotheby's. Amazing.
Yeah.
Listen,
I'll show you a picture of it.
Yeah, that's not my thing. Just give me that plain Jane.
Yeah.
Listen, the first time I saw it was on Kanye West.
Yeah.
I saw that thing on his wrist, and I looked at him, and I looked back at his wrist, and I was like, ooh. I was like, bro, whatever. I need that.
Yeah.
Then when I saw Tyler wear it, you know, if Tyler said, yo, I don't want this no more, bruh, I'm coming to give you the cash.
Yeah.
You know? But I just love it, man. And then again, it's that one of those watches as a young man, you have that on your wrist, and you know, like nobody around you gonna have it.
Yeah, no.
And you're gonna get respected.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's
everyone's
all it
gonna
is.
be like, how did you get that?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, right. And that's really what it is, man.
So what's the one watch that's a grail that is quartz?
Oh, my Nautilus 3900. Yeah, all gold. I want that bad thing.
But you have one already.
I have an Aquanaut.
Oh, that's right. You have the Aquanaut.
I have an Aquanaut.
You have an Aquanaut quartz.
Yeah, see, I got that, and I got on the lips, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, you know, I got some, but that one, that Nautilus, I get that, I'm like, that's the holy grail of quartz to me.
Yes.
I have all the other ones, but that one there is like my unicorn.
A lot of people don't realize that Patek did quartz watches.
Right.
Especially not in those models.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially, man, when I wear my Aquanaut, like, they're thinking like, hold on, why your Aquanaut looks like why it's not like a jumbo? You know what I'm saying?
because they don't know any better.
Yeah, and it's like, nah, man, this is the silent killer. You know, it looks
Yeah.
just like it, but it has a different, more function to it.
It's also the OG.
Yeah,
That's how it was.
Yeah, and the deployment class one in it still cool. I mean, I used to go into Tiffany's.
What year was that one?
It was 2001. Yeah, yeah, and I used to go in Tiffany's when they were selling Pateks like a lot, and they took him out of the store, the boutique here in Atlanta, and I used to try to just buy the deployment class. I like just give me the deployments. Like I'm gonna just buy them, and I just want to start collecting just the deployments.
That's so funny.
You know, just doing random things like that, and that's going back into you diving into something, and you just going too
You
far.
get hooked.
Yeah,
You get hooked, and then you get into the minutia, and it's just like you want every little bit piece of it.
Yeah, I wanted to actually trying to build my own.
Right.
You know,
Of course.
You got a class from somewhere, a strap from another.
Yeah,
And you find the case.
and like, yo,
Yes.
what's up? You know, and that's the cool part. Like Frankenstein, it, you know, just a little bit, and you know, have a cool thing. But yeah, man, those are my two holy grails. Once I get those, I am, and I will say, I will be done collecting watches.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's a
Who's
strong statement.
who do you know that has a collection that you really admire? From any walk of life. Is there
any
a
walk
person
of
that
life?
you know personally where you're like, this is a good collection.
Praz is badass. Excuse
He
me if I'm
is, yeah.
cursing.
He is.
Yeah, he's an AP like
Early
juggernaut.
on.
Yeah, early on.
Yeah.
Of course, John Mayer, Eric Clapton.
Clapton
You
got
know,
crazy
yeah.
stuff.
And you know, the ones that I saw Jay wear in person, really, I'll give it to Coach K. because he really started diving in. That's somebody that I can really see. You know,
What is he collecting right now? What is like?
Man, he. You know, when you're artists or rappers and y'all just buy each other watches, you're like, bro, like y'all got the cheat code. You know what I'm saying? So he wears everything, but it's like, you know, he just always has like just clean. Whenever I see him, Coach is always like a cleaner. I always told myself, when I get older, I want to be like Lenny Kravitz, Prince, and Coach K. How they just age gracefully and they just like real cool.
He's a very clean dude. You can tell he has taste.
Yeah.
And he kind of reminds me of like you know what he reminds me of? Not like, I want to say like an Andre Harrell.
Yeah.
And how he carries himself.
Very quiet.
Very quiet, very very unassuming. You know he's about his business, but he's not in the forefront. No. He's just like, this is my world right here. This is where I live.
Yeah, he lives in that cool space too. You see him, you know, we be at dinners together and stuff, and he just come in, and I'm blessed, man, that, you know, he asked me just my taste on art. You know, I actually put him on the retina.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's crazy, and then he showed me gratitude for that, and you know, but like just sitting with him, man, and just seeing his aesthetic to things too is very cool to watch.
And you see it rubbing off on like a Lil Baby.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, and Lil Yachty too.
Yeah.
Lil Yachty is his protege. Like, when Lil Yachty was first brought to me with Coach K. You know what I'm saying? And it was dope. So it's like, but Coach K is he's into that thing, man.
That's dope.
Yeah, he into it. He got the car thing going. When he got this car club in Atlanta.
Car collector.
Yeah, I pulled up for the young guys. I pulled up in my old schools. You know, they got the BMWs. I'm pulling up in the 5.0s and stuff.
And they're gonna Google Gaga over that.
Yeah. I got one of the most beautiful Fox body 5.0s around. I go head to head with any guy.
That's awesome.
When they come to that, when they come to them old schools, I'm gonna show you what that look like too.
Man, Atlanta's a special place.
Yeah, y'all
really
gotta come down, man. Y'all come down.
And I went and we met in Atlanta through
Biggs.
Yeah, through Emory.
Emory, yeah, the big homie Emory.
Big homie Emory.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were planning on doing some in Atlanta, and this is just, you know, it's the universe works in mysterious ways.
Right.
We were sitting with Emory, and he's like, "Y'all going to Atlanta?" Renaldo.
Yeah.
My boys are coming down to Atlanta. They got me, and then that was it.
Yeah.
We went down to Atlanta. We hooked up with him. He showed us around town. This man was the king everywhere.
Yeah. And when the big brothers call, man, you don't even got to second guess the character or just who he is as a man.
Yes.
And, you know, we become brothers, man, and that's how it goes. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And it's dope. And at that time, we wasn't even fathers then.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what I'm
crazy.
saying?
Yeah, that's right.
He has a daughter, and I have a daughter, so it's cool.
That's crazy.
But you know what I never forget, when I first met you, we rolled up on you at a mall. It was a restaurant in a mall. You were at the bar with somebody. And I remember the first thing was with my cousin Darren.
Yeah.
And we were like, man, what you got on your wrist?
Jonathan.
We were looking at your watch. Matter of fact, because I was wearing a watch too. I had on this David Yurman watch.
Oh.
It was weird. No, but in like a good way. Like
Yeah.
it was like a watch that they made for like a prototype. I had a stint working with them, and but it never hit the shelves. They never sold it. It was a one of one that they did.
You still got it?
No, but it was a David Yurman watch, and it was when they were trying to get into, you know, like more complicated timepieces.
Yeah.
And I remember he was like, "What is that on your wrist?" And I looked at it, I was like, "What are you wearing?" This was years ago.
Yeah,
I mean,
years
who'd have
ago.
thought now?
Yeah, that y'all got the dopest watch podcast. Right? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I was like, man, I got to get on there. Yeah. And I'll be honest with y'all, man, like it kind of how the stars align, man. Like y'all was my motivation to come back to New York. I haven't been to New York in like 3 or 4 years since the pandemic.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like,
That's
if I'm gonna go, this is one thing that I'm focused on doing, man. I thank y'all for having me on here too. Though.
Thank you for coming, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we're very honored and happy that you decided.
No, I'm honored, man. Cause like, yo, I really learned from y'all too. Y'all like, y'all really put the pressure on me. I'm like, bro, I'm not going up there trying to talk no watches with them. I'm just stay with my Quartz. And I'm just when I start talking about the movements and all of that stuff, I'm like, all right, cool. But you know, I'll salute y'all guys.
Man, you're inspiration. I want you to know
y'all
that.
are too,
You really are.
Thank you.
So I'd like to take the opportunity to give you your flowers.
Yes,
I think in
absolutely.
everything that you do, and I've kept up with you, you come from such a pure and honest place.
Yeah.
With who you are,
Yeah.
how you go about collecting, and how you carry yourself. And I'm pleased to know that you traveled all the way to New York to bun up some business, but also made a priority to sit down
because
with
I'm gonna
us.
tell
I
you,
appreciate it.
guys from the South, man, I don't like the cold weather. I can only come to New York
When it's hot.
Yeah. But no, I mean, honored, man, and I mean, y'all will be and y'all are the best thing smoking for young guys that want to get into collecting watches and don't feel intimidated about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all make it cool, like you just going to the bodega or something. And
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Just talking
Y'all
about
make
it.
it very relatable, and I thank y'all for that. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate
I
that.
really
Thank
do.
you.
I really
This
do.
has been a real treat.
Yeah.
That does it for us. We're going to take this party elsewhere. But for those of you watching and listening, you know where to find us. On Instagram, you can follow us at RiskCheckPod.
Yep.
Spotify, just search Risk Check Podcast. You can watch us and listen to us. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and we are on YouTube. So we're also on TikTok.
Yes,
Excuse me.
TikTok.
And
For the
maybe in
children.
the metaverse.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Not so fast.
No.
Yo, don't be selling the NFTs, bro.
But this has been a real treat, and this is episode 29 for season 5. See you next week. Deuces.
Peace.
Peace.